everyone. My name is Erica Knoll, and I am a program coordinator who works within the School of Education here at the University of Cincinnati. When this whole pandemic hit, I remember calling my mom, who was a third grade teacher, just asking her how she was handling all of this, and I could just really hear the stress in her voice, with her just trying to cope with having to change everything on the spot. So I wanted to create a resource that would kind of help teachers figure out ways to kind of better manage the situation, but more than that, manage your expectations of what people expect of you, right? A big part of this presentation is going to be a lot of nobody expects you to be this new phenomenal online teacher overnight. We really just expect everyone to just do the best they can in the middle of this unprecedented situation. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and get started here. Oh, I did that again. There we go. So as I kind of said, the reason why I wanted to do this is that teachers were expected to completely flip their entire classrooms to being fully online or fully being able to work from home. And from all the teachers that I've met, I feel like they're always very naturally empathetic, very compassionate people. And so not only are you trying to figure out how do you do your whole new job all of a sudden without really having any warning, but also how do you still try to check in on your students and take care of them and make sure that they're doing okay in the middle of this too. Because we all care a lot, And on top of all of that, not only are you still teaching and trying to figure out this new work environment, the world still calls too. It's not just you trying to go to work. It's you trying to do your work while you're sitting at your kitchen table and your son is on the couch trying to figure out a math problem and your daughter's running around because she can't go to daycare, and there might be a million other things that you have going on your plate right now. And so it can just kind of feel like the world is all closing in on you and there's just a lot happening. So going into the how, I know that I probably just told you a bunch of stuff that you already know. You're like, thanks, I already know I'm stressed out. I already know that there's a lot on my plate. What in the world am I supposed to do about it? And so hopefully some of the next tips and tricks that we'll go through might help you come up with some new ideas or maybe reframe some things to make you feel a little better and not make you feel like this poor dog who's just sitting here going, everything's fine, this is fine. So one of the first things that I've heard a lot of teachers in my network say is finding it difficult to set time for their work schedule. When you are working from home, it becomes very easy to always be distracted by your laptop every time you hear that little bing that you have a new email. And so trying to actually find that fine line between work time and home time. Set yourself your office hours, let your parents know, let your students know, and then try to actually work just within those hours. Try not to, be at the beck and call of the computer screen. Also remember to set yourself some breaks. In a normal workday, you're not just sitting in front of your computer and sitting in front of your classroom from 8 to 4 nonstop, right? You get to take a break for lunch. You walk down to the cafeteria. You walk to the bathroom. So try to make sure that you're still giving yourself some little breaks throughout the day. Especially to go outside and take a little walk, stretch your legs, get out of the chair, get some sunshine, all of those kinds of things can be really helpful. In the evenings, try to unplug. So one of the resources that I have listed down here that I really like is Google Voice. So Google Voice allows you to set up a different phone number so that you can call and text and people can call and text you to that phone number. But it also allows you to set up Do Not Disturb. So you can set up specific hours that you don't want to be getting any messages. And that can be a good way to kind of keep your work and home life a little separated. Additionally, you might find that while working 8 to 4 was perfectly fine when you were physically going into a school and your kids were at school or with the babysitter or whatever was going on, you might find that that's not going to work with, the current situation that we're in. So instead of just trying to keep that standard set of hours every day, maybe try doing a more task-based thing. So you might have, office hours from 8 to 10 in the morning, and then you might just have the rest of your day blocked off for accomplishing the tasks that you need to get done, like grading papers, or sending out a new packet, or setting up a new project, or whatever it is. Trello is a really cool resource because it allows you to create all these different to-do lists. You can set different due dates for each of those tasks. You can have like an overarching project and then put in like the smaller steps that it takes to get there. But if you find that it's just too hard for you to really sit here and focus and get all your work done between those set work hours, try giving yourself a little bit of space to try something new. Maybe try doing like a task-based thing instead. Remember to use your network. You're not in this battle alone. All of these other teachers are in this with you. A lot of people in general are in this with you. Try to rely on some of those resources. So you have the other teachers in your school district, the administrators from your school, obviously online resources, your local colleges, such as the University of Cincinnati putting this together. But keep in mind that it's not a competition. So you might be talking to one of your coworkers and hearing them just spew out all this great stuff that they're doing, and it can be really intimidating if you just don't feel like maybe you're reaching that same bar. It's not a competition. What works really well for them might not work really well for you. So try to keep that in mind. Additionally, you don't need to reinvent or relearn the wheel. Right? You don't need to be creating all these brand new, completely awesome virtual presentations and projects and all this other stuff. You have all these things that you've done in the past that you normally would just pull out of your back pocket, like, oh, today we're gonna draw out these diagrams and this is what it looks like. You can still rely on those things, right? You don't have to reinvent your entire curriculum. You just need to repurpose it. Keep in mind that there are plenty of resources online too that might be able to help you, such as Teachers Paying Teachers, which is also linked here. Also keep in mind that using your network isn't always just about using each other for resources or ideas. It also might just be a support thing. So I know for me, working from home was really hard because I just felt very disconnected from everyone, and I also just personally didn't have the energy to be like, okay, let's schedule a phone call so I can catch up with my dad or something like that. And so one of the things that my family decided to do is set up a group chat through Marco Polo. And so Marco Polo lets you send these like short little videos or pictures or texts back and forth. And it's nice because it's like social media, but it's more, just kind of your day-to-day life. And also it's just for the people that you allow in that group. So it's not like you're just posting it up for everyone. And so that's allowed us to get like little glimpses of each other's day without requiring a lot of work. And that's what I needed right now. Like, I don't have the energy to put a lot of work into my relationships, but I still crave them. So if you're feeling that struggle too, you might want to consider something like Marco Polo. The app is literally so easy, even my grandma was able to figure it out. And that's saying something. So definitely consider that as well. Assume positive intent. So one of the things that I feel like a lot of us really struggle with is in this world of communications where everything's through email or text message, there's no emotion in it, right? There's no tone, there's no body language, I can't read your facial expressions. So it becomes so easy to read a message and be like, oh my gosh, this person is so mad at me, or I don't know why they're being so rude, or, everything might just seem short. And try not to read too much into that or take it personally. I know it's really easy to say that and hard to do that, but just trust me, try not to. You don't always know someone's current situation, so obviously we're in the middle of a global pandemic. People have lost their jobs, people have gotten sick. There's a million other things happening right now, and so, they might have sent an email that maybe isn't the nicest thing they've ever said, but you might just happen to be the straw that broke the camel's back on a really bad day. So trying to just assume positive intent, try not to take things personally. Keep in mind that you don't really know what somebody else might be going through, or the technology barriers. Not everybody is used to communicating through email or text message. My grandpa used to send out emails in all caps because he thought that was normal, and we would just be like, why are you yelling at us? So try to give people the same grace that you expect them to give you. Additionally, try to play to your own strengths. You know yourself. What made you decide to become a teacher? What motivates you? What are those things that you usually keep in your back pocket that you could be pulling out right now? Right? Try to play to those. Additionally, you know your students. You've been in a classroom with them for almost a whole year. So you kind of know their needs, what they like to do, what they're capable of, what motivates them, and then how can you tie all those things together? To go back to my mom is a third grade teacher. in a very rural area that doesn't have a lot of technology. And so she found that trying to put third grade material online in this area was not really going to work. So instead she started putting together, paper and pencil packets that could be sent home that they could work on. So you have to kind of be able to know your own situation and read into it and see what you can do with what you have. Be a resource of resources. So in a normal classroom, if a teacher gets stuck on something, they'll flag you down and ask you whatever the question is. During this time, it's a lot harder to figure out how to word my question into an email, know when I should be reaching out versus when I should just be trying to, figure out my way through it. And so that can all be really hard. So rather than you trying to create 10 different lessons planned for all the different learners in your classroom, try to just make sure that they have the resources and they know the resources available to them. So this could be linking out to Khan Academy videos or linking out to a different project that they might want to consider if they're struggling with it. You can also give resources for parents. I know one of the teachers that I was talking with is a kindergarten teacher, and so she said a lot of the time it's her teaching the parent how to walk their child through something, especially with kindergarten. It can be very easy for a parent to want to just give their student the answer or help them out. And so being able to give resources to those parents so that way they don't feel on the spot and trying to figure it on their own as well, right? And then that can also provide different alternatives for students who may need a distraction or an outlet. If you can provide extra resources, they might have other things that they can work on. And they might be able to connect with other students through that as well and work with each other throughout that. And finally, remember to give yourself some grace as well. It's a new world for everyone, including yourself. You're no different than everybody else right now. And you're also a person who has their own feelings, fears, anxieties, trying to adjust to this whole new world that none of us anticipated was going to be happening. So again, do the best that you can. I'm sure you're already doing that. Communicate often, be truthful about what you're struggling with, or, when you make mistakes, it's perfectly fine. Your students appreciate that you're being a human, right? So even at the beginning of this video, I forgot how to work the PowerPoint apparently. And rather than just stopping and be like, oh no, that wasn't perfect, I need to redo this all, just keep going. You're a person. It's okay. Just make sure that you're taking care of yourself. So I've also linked some resources for managing stress and anxiety because I don't know about y'all, but we've all been dealing with that a lot lately. And also for an app that's called Relax Melodies. It essentially lets you create different types of white noise. I personally have found it to be very relaxing and really helpful to help me fall asleep. And all of my resources that I did choose to include here are not that hard to set up, right? I didn't want to give you an app that takes you 12 minutes to log into, and then you find out that you have to pay $5.99 a month for the subscription, right? So I try to do very straightforward things because we all could use a little bit of peace and relaxation throughout all of this. So instead of you being the dog sitting in the middle of a fire going, this is fine, y'all can be the fire. Got some passion, right? And then we're just going to be surrounded by dogs because dogs are great. I'm a little goofy, as I'm sure you can tell. Thank you all for watching this. If you have other ideas or comments or things that you think I should have included, this is my email address. But otherwise, thanks for all that y'all do. We appreciate you a lot, and thank you for watching.